guys, this is Joshua with Simple Keys. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about primary and secondary chords. This is a very important lesson if you're looking to understand or get a better understanding of chords and why they work the way they do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down primary chords, or better known as diatonic chords. And then what I'm going to do is just try to simplify those diatonic chords and group them in a group of majors and minors. So let's do that. So we're going to start in the key of C major. All right. And it's always easiest to see this in the key of C major. You really want to learn everything in 12 keys, but the concepts in C apply to every other key. So any major scale that you know will have the same primary and secondary chords. Now, before we get into it, what exactly are primary chords? Now, primary chords are just chords that show up the most in songs, and these are typically major chords. If you're looking at the diatonic scale, or just like the diatonic chords, we have, let's say C would be our 1, D would be our 2 chord, E would be our 3 chord, 4 would be our F chord, 5 would be our G chord, 6 would be our A minor chord. Now this is the diminished naturally, which is the 7th tone. We're back to the top. Okay, so which ones are the primary chords? Well, primary chords naturally fall on the 1st, 4th, and 5th tone of the scale. So that would be, these are what we call primary chords. And the reason they're called primary chords is that they show up the most in songs. So that's really why they're called primary chords. And then we also have secondary chords, which are your 2nd tone, 3rd tone, and 6. So primary are 1, 4, 5. These are naturally major chords. 2, 3, 6 are naturally minor chords, and those are what we call secondary chords. And then this would also be considered a secondary chord, but it does have like a dark connotation to it. So it's not a minor chord; it's actually a diminished chord naturally. But because it has so much tension, it doesn't really make it into contemporary music as much. So typically, this chord is changed into a major. Okay. Now, I like to usually bring up this idea of primary chords and secondary chords with colors, because music, kind of like colors or like color theory, also shares, let's say, primary chords. And like let's say music has primary chords. Colors have primary colors, so we have primary colors and secondary colors. So if you know anything about colors, I'm going to put up an image of like the color. I don't know what they call it, but it's just colors. Usually the primary colors are, I believe, red, yellow, and blue. Those are the chords or the colors that make up the vast hue of colors that we know, right? So we have red, yellow, and blue, and these make up all the other colors. And then we have secondary colors, and I believe there was like it's like a purple color, then you have green, and then there's another color. You'll see it up on the image, and that's what we consider, let's say, our secondary colors. And then funny enough, when you mix these secondary colors together, they create like a very dark or black color, and that's what this chord is. If you notice, the 7th tone when we're playing these scales is usually very like dark. So you notice that music and colors have like a very close relationship. So whenever you're trying to make something a little bit more colorful, for example, that's me adding a little bit more flavor to my chords, to my playing. And I'm just using a number of combinations of primary and secondary chords there, but I'm adding more color to it. And if you've ever heard that, that's where it kind of like the term comes from. So anyway, that's kind of like the basic idea between primary and secondary chords. Just remember, the primary chords are the 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, 6 are your minors. 7 is usually diminished, which is like the dark part when you mix all the secondary colors. And then when you're back at the top, you have pretty much the C major chord. So every scale has 7 degrees, and out of those 7 degrees, 3 of them are major, 3 of them are minor, 1 is diminished, but we switch the last one to a major chord. Now, how do you use these chords in like context to kind of prove this concept? So I'm going to play this song real quick. I think this is The Scientist. Look at this song, it also proves the concept again. We have one minor chord, which is a sixth tone. We have a fourth tone chord, which is a major chord, which is a primary chord. We have a C major chord, which is a primary chord, and a G major chord, which is a primary chord. So out of these 4 chords that we used, 3 of them were primary chords, which is why they're called primary chords, because they showed up the most. See that? And they sound very pleasing to your ears. Okay. So that's just like a direct example of how you can use primary chords and notice the differences between them. And this helps you when you're playing in different keys, because sometimes it also kind of help you break down what chords to play on specific tones. And it's no longer a guessing game, because you know, okay, maybe on the first tone and the fourth tone and the fifth tone might be a major chord. So unless you get into like jazz, that's when things kind of get flipped on their head. But for the most part, if you're playing contemporary songs, you notice that they stay pretty consistent with these chord structures. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. And if you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, comment, subscribe. And if you guys want to learn a little bit more about chords, I actually have a guide at simplekeys.com called The Ultimate Guide to Master Chords. And then I also have a guide called The Ultimate Guide to Progressions, or Master Progressions. And that kind of helps you understand how to put these chords together to create progression. So it's a very synergistic system, and every step is important and vital to your development as a musician. All right, so guys, I will see you in the next video. Take care.